Okay, we're live now. So share screen.
Brother Saeed. What's the name of your little show? What they call it? Get the Black Mind Right. Yeah. What can I help you with today?
We go back a long way.
We do.
Is it true that you said that black people
Okay, welcome to Theater Talk Live with our special guests, Mike Anderson and Larry Saeed. How y'all doing?
what's good with you?
Nothing much. I'm just hanging out with two professional people and also my co-host, Michelle Saunders. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Doing wonderful,
Yes, sir.
man.
Thank
Thank you for having us on the show.
So tell us about what we just saw. First, Larry.
That was I'm working on a project called "We're Coming to Get Our Check," and three attorneys are taking America in front of the World Court for letting states violate the 14th Amendment when as far as dealing with Black Americans. And that attorney, Brian Booker, he's with the defense, and he believes in pulling yourselves up by the bootstrap. And so he's working for he's working for the defense. So he's talking about why we shouldn't, why we don't deserve reparations, why Black people don't deserve reparations.
So is that coming out? That's a film you're working on now.
Well, I had it scheduled to come out on Martin Luther King's birthday, but with the COVID, I really can't even because I had the courtroom downtown, so I don't have no place to shoot the court scenes, and hopefully they let me get in there this month. They told me to call them back, but I pushed it back to February, which is Black History Month. So I'm just waiting, just holding on.
And Mike, Polished Soul, you've been working on that for a while now, and it's a biography, isn't it?
It's actually a biopic, which is a biopic about my life story, which actually it derived from my autobiography, which was the book that I had written originally like 6-7 years ago. And we had adapted it into a documentary, a 15-minute documentary, which actually premiered in several places and several film festivals and stuff. And that turned into a lecture demonstration tool that I use now when I travel to different juvenile delinquent facilities, different prisons across the United States, or even Black Caucus meetings and stuff like that, where I present the film and then I speak based on mass incarceration and the school to prison pipeline.
So Michelle, go ahead. You have a question?
She's muted.
You got to unmute. Okay, hold on. All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Larry, can you give us some background of who you are and where you're from?
Oh man, well, my name is Larry Saeed, right? I'm originally from Penns Grove, New Jersey, in a small town from New Jersey. Moved to Greensboro. I've been back and forth in North Carolina since the '80s, but I officially moved here in like '95. And like I was telling Kenneth earlier, I started writing in '91, '92. Started shooting films in like 2000, and the rest is history. I just doing what I do, trying to. Yeah, and like I was telling, I'm more of like I really do period piece, and I started out writing theater, but I'm really not a big theater person. But actually, like my biggest successes have came from theater.
Right.
And so.
And so Mike,
figured out that you had the love or the passion?
Man, and I found, this is when I found out I had the love and the passion to rewrite. Like I said, I entered the National Black Theater Festival, and I get a phone call from a friend of mine, and I can't believe I forgot her name. She said, "Hey, they picked your script for the reading series." She said, "So they want to meet you," and I said, "Well, I said I'll be there tomorrow." She said, "No, you need to come tonight," because she said you're the first writer ever from the Triad to have your stuff part of the Black Theater Festival. So I was like, she said, yeah. So I went down there, I met all these people, and they made it a big deal. The News and Record, Winston-Salem Journal, my paper in New Jersey. And because, like I said, I was the first writer ever from the Triad to have this stuff part of the theater festival in the reading series, which is big at the festival. So it was like a big thing. So then after that, I was writing, and then what made me really get into film, I was a cat. My neighbor was like 18 years old, and he seen me out here with this little video. I was filming my little nephew, my son, and his friends playing basketball. He said, "Hey, I'm a student at A&T. You want to hang out with me?" I said, "Hell yeah!" So for 2 years, I ran around with this college freshman and sophomore shooting film. And the highlight of that was we did Fantasia's first birthday party that she had at downtown. We filmed that, and some other big people that we dealt with. It was just like, that's what really got me wanting to really be in the filming. So I just been doing it ever since.
So Mike, you are you want to turn it down?
I'm down, I think.
Okay, so Mike, you are a author, you are an actor, you are a filmmaker, and I just checked out your IMDb. You got an IMDb page, so you've been in some stuff. So talk to us about your journey. Well, how you
Yeah,
got?
it's been a blessing, man. It's been amazing. You know, I always say God out the box is awesome. Considering what I've been through in life, I'm originally from. I was born in Stuttgart, Germany. My father was in the military. That's where he met my mother at. My father was an African American Vietnam vet that met my mother in Germany. She's a German native, so they fell in love. He married her, of course, and they had four knuckleheads, and we all got raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. um, Vietnam 26. That's the home that I grew up in, right there off of Bunks Road. It's pretty rough back in the day, if anybody knows about it. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of like I became subject to my environment because I also grew up in a household filled with domestic violence. My father used to whoop my mom's tail every day. He used to beat us and held us at gunpoint one summer, and so we had to go stay in a domestic violence shelter for a whole summer. I was so ashamed of staying there that when I came back home, I actually started back school, and they asked me what I did for the summer, and I was like, I went to Disney World, knowing that it was a lie, that I had stayed in the domestic violence shelter the whole month, and I was ashamed the whole summer. I was ashamed of it, but it kind of like, I don't know, it planted a seed of resentment in me, and I went into the streets, and and actually the streets was the first place I fell in love with film. It's a crazy story.
Mhm.
I went into the life of selling drugs in the streets, and a crackhead came up with a camera one day, one of the old school cameras that you put the
Yeah.
big VCR tape in.
Mhm.
And so he came up with it, and everybody was laughing at him, talking about, man, if you don't get out of here. And I was like, nah, come here. For some reason, my interest was sparked in that moment. And I gave him two crack rocks for the camera, and took the camera and literally started playing with it and filmed like a little fake 5-minute karate movie with me and my friends on the block. I
Wow.
fell in love with that camera then, man. And as life went on, I got caught up in a situation where one thing led to another in the streets. And then before you know it, in 1991, I was facing the death penalty plus life for
Wow.
60 years and ended up going into the North Carolina Department of Corrections. I took a plea bargain for life so I could escape the death penalty, went in, served time. And while I was in there, I felt the need to have that camera in my hand. So
Wow.
for some reason, I said, well, what's connected to shooting? I said, writing. So I started writing while I was in there, and it was my pastime that helped me stay out of trouble. And I started writing plays, scripts, and everything. I used to put on the plays for the inmate population, and they would go crazy over my plays, my little like 20-minute plays. I would cast some of the inmates. So I was gaining the skill set of it and didn't even realize it. That one day when I knew I was going to come home and everybody else said I wouldn't come home, I knew I was going to come home and be a storyteller. So when I came home, I was able to bump into Christopher Martin, who was teaching over at Central University. And if nobody
Mhm.
knows who he is, he's Play from Kid and Play.
Right.
So he pulled me into his brand new situation and started putting me in front of the camera, put me behind the camera. And he said, man, there's something about you. I just see some potential in you. And I started grabbing that camera a lot, man. And then before you know it, one thing led to another. I got filmed my first short film called Stray. It was a story I wrote in prison one night. I woke up 2 o'clock in the morning and wrote the script in like, I don't know, 20 minutes in my bed. And that was my first short film that I produced. And it was in the Hayti Heritage Black Film Festival. It was in the National Black Theater Festival. And it premiered at several other film festivals. And it won some awards. And I was surprised because we did that all for like a $2 budget, and yeah, and it had some great actors and actresses in it, man. But it was about the bullet inside the head of a drug dealer, and he was talking to the drug dealer and telling him, "Yo, you could have been anything you wanted, but you chose to be a stupid, dumb drug dealer. Now I got to take you out." And this bullet has this personality, like he's so relentless and so ruthless, and he doesn't care. Look, you made this choice. I'm inside your head right now. Let's figure out how we're gonna do this. Am I gonna skip the skull and hit the spine, or am I gonna just go straight through the skull and crash the skull, or am I just gonna pierce your brain and come out the other side and end it all right now? And the fatality happened. But what it was straight was an acronym for showing truth, reaching all youth about the fact that gun violence alone is like one of the number one leading causes of death in our
Mhm.
black community. And I just wanted to share that message because I was part of that. I was caught up in them streets, and I contributed to black on black violence. It was a group of us, man, in a whole situation where it could have been avoided, but it wasn't avoided. One thing led to another. Before you know it, I was protecting my life and my best friend's life. Two people got shot, one died, one didn't. And I was already out on bond for another murder charge that I did not commit. So I was in a situation with the system where I said, you know what? When I make it out of this, not if I make it out of this, but when I make it out of this, I'm going to tell the stories that I think can, give our troubled youth, our at-risk youth, the opportunity to hear the reality of it through my life and not the stories of those rap songs that tell lies about how the street life really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because we have so many stories in the Black community to tell, and with people like you and Saeed who are writing, we can tell these stories either in film or in theater.
Yes.
So what's your passion? How did you either one of you, how did you come about with your first story? I know you just talked about it, Mike, but Saeed, your first story.
Well, the first story I wrote that I filmed, the first film that, I want to say this, Mike's situation was definitely more dire than mine, but we kind of like did the same thing, start writing in prison, this thing, but I wasn't facing life, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I was facing life, somebody was getting told on. But I think the first film that I shot was called Nick, and that was like a little hood film. But like I said, going back to this guy named Reggie Nurse, just working with him, and he helped me with some stuff. Like I said, I wrote a film called Break the Chains. It's about 5 kids in a group home, which all praise due to Allah. I just sent it to someone, and they considering being my agent because Hallmark asked to see the script going through them. So I just sent it to him. I'm hoping everything work out. But it's just like first script I did was Nick, but Break the Chains was something that I really dug into because it was about 5 kids in a group home, and it dealt with everything that young kids go through: gangs, homelessness. One of the girls was being molested by her family members. One kid was rich. It was like one kid wouldn't talk because he seen his parents get murdered. So it's dealing with, but the thing about the film though, it's not even about the kids. It's about the teacher, because he's a single parent child, has seen pretty much, just relating back to what Mike said about how his father treated them. It was like this single kid, he's seen how his father treated his mother and left them homeless. So he had to learn how to be a father to these 5 kids because his wife wanted to have a child. So it's a deep story, man. And like I said, that right there was probably the most heartwarming and deepest to me because it kind of touched my feelings. And when people seen it, it really touched their feelings because, you have parents coming to me with tears coming down their face and saying, man, because they was like, we have to look at things differently now as parents because it's a whole new different game now.
Michelle and I, we talk about marketing all the time, and Michelle, go ahead with the marketing piece and ask them.
Well, listening to the both of you share your stories and how you start writing and how you producing everything that you have. So when you go to produce to say, hey, there is some substance to why we're producing this, as we are storytellers, how do you put that information out there? So that way everyone won't see it as this is just one of those movies that's written to catch the attention, but there's meaning behind that.
Well, let me say this first, then we'll let Mike answer. Because Mike is in a different, I say a better position than I am far as dealing with people. Because he's dealing with more industry people. Far as me, I deal with industry people. But I'm not like, I don't audition, I don't do a whole bunch of stuff like that. But the problem that I'm having right now is I talk to a lot of people all the time. But it's hard to get an agent if you're not dealing with the right people. You know what I mean? It's that simple. So there's a lot of great independent writers out there like us. And I just finally, at this point in my life where somebody said, hey man, you got some good stuff and we're going to take out the time to work with you and let's see if we can get you a check. You know what I mean? But, and Mike can tell you the same thing. It's just that, and I hate to tell people this, at one time we always thought it was about the talent. We always thought it was about getting out there grinding. Now it's about you being in the right place at the right time. Not saying that your skills as a writer or actor doesn't work. It's just that you have to be in the right place at the right time. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna let Mike take over. I don't think Ava, I don't think Spike, I don't think nobody is a better writer than me or a film person than me. And I know Mike feel the same way, but just the fact of the matter is somebody said, listen, we're gonna take at the time and put some money in you and we're gonna make it work.
Okay, so when you do that, what platforms are you using so that way your voice, your writing is heard?
Well, I like I said, I use social media. I use every avenue that I can use to put my stuff out there. But you just can't I can't just call somebody and say I have this material. They'll say, do you have first thing they're gonna say, do you have an agent? That's the first thing I'm gonna ask you. And if you don't have that agent or you don't have somebody that's in the industry that can vouch for you, they're gonna just say, hey, well, holler. And I've been through it. I got an attorney. You know what I mean? He does entertainment law, but he's not an attorney that does entertainment law that everybody know. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I talk to people all the time. But like I said, hopefully now, since I think I've landed an agent, the whole conversation is going to be better because agents have connections with everybody, and and that's why I'm not gonna never stop doing what I'm doing. I got a little stuff right there that's making a couple dollars now, but it's not making money to where I can quit my job, and that's my focus is quitting my job and being a full-time film producer, director, writer, whatever.
So, Mike, tell us about getting an agent and working with agents and getting your stuff out there.
In reference to film, in the independent film world, honestly, we bypass the agents and we look for the distribution. Distribution is the most important thing. And if your distribution tier that you get on with your media or whatever it is that you produce, your production, if you're not walking through doors and rubbing elbows with some of these people at these other major events, then you don't know who they are. You're not meeting them. So my number one piece of advice is to always get in the door by going through all the doors. All the doors where you see the events that, 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, we were at Tribeca with a film that I helped co-produce with Vince Vaughn and some other people. And it was entitled, I actually was the ground producer for this and the field producer and one of the cinematographers, sound man and all of that, along with another friend of mine named Adam Boer, that we was in the city of East St. Louis for a whole year and 4 months, filming real, true, actual events about the murder rate and the crime rate in East St. Louis. When we were there, we had already connected through DirecTV with Give Us This Day. And so my thing was everywhere that this film was being screened at, whether it was, we started at Tribeca, we premiered at Tribeca with it. After we premiered at Tribeca, we went to Woodstock, we went to LA Film Festival and some other film festivals. And my goal was, guess what? I want to believe in myself enough, regardless of an agent, regardless of a distribution company. I want to believe in myself enough to invest in myself and make sure my butt is in all of those places. Because all this really cost me, I'm not paying for a ticket to get in. I'm not paying for a seat or nothing. It's a flight. And if the people that I work with see it fit and see me worth enough to be in that location, then they're going to pay for my flight. So my thing is, like, I guess Saeed was talking earlier, he said when we started working together one time, I was like, nah, we got to get this done. The reason why I'm like that is because I'm serious about work because I want a good presentation. If I can't give you a good presentation, then you're going to look at me like I'm crazy because a million people could say they're a filmmaker, but have a million people made a film, a real, true, nice presentation. You see what I'm saying? So when we make these presentations, it's imperative for us to make sure that we know that anything we stamping our name on has to come correct. Just like you said, you've been working on this film for a while. You're right. And the only reason why it took me a while is because I really attacked that film by myself, man. And the reason why I attacked it by myself is because there's a few things that happened here and there when we started filming, when we started production, and I was just like, hold on, this ain't right. This feels like it's some type of sabotage coming into the play. So I can't have my product sabotaged. So
Right.
the most important thing is to make sure that you guard your product also. You guard it. And I don't care. And that's why the situation with my film, we were supposed to premiere Black Friday, but it got pushed all the way to March 31st. I see it in my best interest to listen to my consultation team that knows the numbers, that knows the analytics. You know what I'm saying? Once they know the analytics, I can't argue with them, regardless of how much I think I know, because even though I may be a great filmmaker or I may be a great writer, there's great writers around me everywhere. There's great filmmakers everywhere. And some of them know more than me because they've been in the game longer than me. And they know, well, look, bro, when they come at you like this, because I have mentors in the film game that are big name people, you know, and I love them for the information they can give me, not for the doors they can get me through, just for the information they can give me so that I can get through the door myself. You tell me how to go to a movie theater and buy a ticket and go see the movie, I'm going to go see it by myself. I'm going to go up to the box office, buy the ticket, and go see it by myself. I did that by myself because you told me how to do it.
Right.
So if I have the skill set, I'm going to do it if you give me the information.
Well, let's talk about actors, because this is Theater Talk Live, and I have a lot of actors who want to get on stage, they want to be in film. How did they get in? How did they get into film? I know quite a few of actors that I work with who work both stage and film, and you give us some advice to actors how to get in their first film.
Well, I can say this because I'm also I'm theater born. The first time I ever acted, I was 5 years old. I played Rudolph in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And, you know, it was because I was able to connect to Rudolph as a misfit. I knew at 5 years old that every time the police showed up at my house because of my daddy, beat my mom or whatever, I knew I was the misfit of that neighborhood in a sense. Even though I knew there was something special about me, I was a misfit because I was the only one who had the loudest household almost every other night because of domestic violence. So I related to Rudolph. So once I did the theater thing, and like I said, I was on the inside doing theater. I actually, with the theater and drama in the 10th grade, I signed up for that class because I knew that was my outlet. Because if I can escape my real world and become any other personality, then I was comfortable. So every time I encountered somebody, I would absorb who their personality was. And 2 or 3 days later, you might catch me mimicking that person. So I could become any character I wanted to be. Even in prison, I would wake up out of nowhere and I'd be, you know, I could tell everybody was getting ready to face the day in a dreadful way. Like they just dreaded to live in prison. And I was like, not me, I'm going to laugh every day. So I would wake up early in the morning and the first thing I do was crack a joke. And I would imitate one of the guys in the cell block. I'd be like, yo, who this, y'all? Who this? And then I just start imitating, and everybody just busts out laughing. And we start our day on a laugh. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think it's just about how you put your personality on the front line, and then connect your personality to your product, and then go from being a theatrical person to saying, you know what? I have no boundaries. So if I'm a theatrical actor, guess what? I'm an actor, period. I'm a thespian. So I have that gift. I just have to learn the world of screenplay now, because it's a whole different book. You know, that fourth wall is on the stage, but that fourth wall ain't on that screen no more. So you got to play that camera. You got to play your mark and everything that the director wants you to play according to. But you can do it if you're a theatrical actor, and then you got to come down to natural versus theatrical. Theatrical is like, you know, just it's maximum, you know, output. And it's like, yo, you got to present yourself to the whole audience off the stage. But when I'm on the screen, I can just be whispering and say, look, you go down that road right there, I'm telling you, that's a bad ending. And that's natural, you know. So the transition of theatrical natural is one thing you should train yourself upon, and then also train yourself in learning screenplay direction. Like, learn what you're supposed to do, learn what the different types of shots are, and how you present yourself in those shots, whether it's an ISO close-up, you stand still, or whether you can be, you know, emotional in the 2 shot or be emotional in a wide shot, you know. It's just all about the learning and training yourself, getting some classes in, get the classes in, and then transition from theater to screenplay.
Before we move on, Michelle, just give me a couple of films you've been in, because it's such a long list in IMDb that you've acted.
Oh, I've done a lot of like TV shows and ID channel TV shows, like For My Man, Justice by Any Means, Fatal Attraction, Primal Instinct. It's just
I know.
several of them, man. And then the one movie that I enjoyed being in was a sci-fi movie. I was also on Mario Van Peebles' sci-fi television show. I played Taliban, and that was see, there's so many of them, I'm forgetting names. I'm sorry, but the one sci-fi film that I was in with Vivica Fox and Daniel Baldwin was Crossbreed, and that was about I played a futuristic hitman in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but those are just just to name a few, man. But I love every role. I mean, I played everything from the thug to the detective. So
Right.
yeah, I love every role that I've been given, man. And I always try to, it's like I said, it's an outlet. It's an outlet for me.
Yeah. Michelle?
Yeah, so for those who are starting out, how do they go about auditioning for your films? What do you go to a casting agency, or do you put something out there? How can they audition?
Well, I've done a few. I've done this thing. The best outlet that you can get on is Actors Access. ActorsAccess.com. ActorsAccess.com. That gives people the opportunity to go to breakdowns and see if there's anything that matches, their physical description or a character that they feel like they can portray. And they apply for the breakdown. And then what happens is, if you get a C-mail, it asks you for an audition. I've worked through Actors Access with my films before. I've casted off of social media. I've casted just through my actors pool because I knew somebody who would be perfect for this role. I've casted so many ways in the different projects that I've done, man. And I actually am believe it or not, considering creating my own talent agency in the next 2 years because of my industry relationships. I feel like, because there's some major casting directors that I'm mad cool with right now, that I know will look at my clients and just respect the work ethic that I commit to when I get involved with the industry, and they know that I'm not going to bring in no doo-doo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of timing, man. So if anybody, I mean, shoot, if they are actors and they come from your class, or they come from, whatever workshops you do or whatever, and you got my information, send them my way, man, because I always do monologue auditions and all that, just to see if I say, hey, this is somebody definitely worthy adding to my actors pool.
Okay,
So,
Larry,
Saeed,
what about you?
Yeah. How you find actors? Okay, let me take you off mute. There you go. Go ahead.
Okay. How do I find out? Cause kind of like Mike, but I'm more of a if I go to short film festivals, I go to film premieres, I search the web, but I'm big on working with a lot of new talent. I really pride myself on working with a lot of new talent. So I could be walking down the street, I could say, hey, have you ever acted before? They might say no. I said, have you ever thought about it? They said yes. I said, well, listen, I'm gonna make you famous, and I'll bring them in, and I got, we put them through the little, as if they serious, we put them through the little acting workshop, and if I see their progress, I'll put them in a film. But for the most part, I got like a pool that I kind of like, kind of pool of people that I deal with, kind of like when Spike Lee first started out. I kind of like got a pool of people that I deal with that I know going to give me what I want, and I'll bring in an actor here and an actor there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really do a whole bunch of like auditioning like Mike does, because like I said, I got a pool. I'll search out certain people for certain roles. You know what I mean? I'll go, like I said, I'll search the web, then I'll reach out to them and say, hey, I'm working on a project. Would you like to audition? Can we sit and talk? So I don't. The thing about me, I'm not like a difficult. I don't make my job difficult. I try to make my job easy because in our industry at Independence, we kind of got to wear 30 different hats.
Right.
So, when we have people that work with us, but for the most part, we want to make sure that we so hands on that we make sure everything is where we want it to be when we start and we bring people in. And then we'll let our people that work with say, "Side, now they might not be right for it, but they might be good for this." And I've learned working with my people is that you gotta, um, you gotta understand and work with their ideals and what they say. Because if you don't, that'll turn people off from you, especially people that you work with and you say you trust. So I kind of got, like I said, I got like my own little pool people, but I'll bring people in. But I'm not big on doing like these big giant auditions. I'm not, that's just me. But I take what I do real serious, very serious, and being in as long as I have, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning. So that's just me. How I do
Okay.
things.
Okay, well, listen, I'm gonna turn this around. I'm gonna put on my directing hat, somebody who's won 3 national awards for my documentary television work, and do a lot of camera angles and camera shots. Who are your favorite directors? Like, for instance, for me, Alfred Hitchcock. Oh man, and Clint Eastwood are two. Let me just give you an example. Alfred Hitchcock has a film called The Tail Light. And in the first 10 minutes, there's no sound other than the sound of stuff. Like somebody gets killed in the shadow, and then they drag something out and put it in the trunk. And the only reason why the guy got stopped and tried to dump his body is because his tail light was out. And then Clint Eastwood, when he has this final draw against this guy, he's standing there, and then the guy turns around, and then there's nothing but a hat there. And then you see stuff moving and sounds of bells, and then next thing you hear, pow, there's somebody dead. And then somebody else is dead. And then
Yeah.
at the very end, he picks the hat up and put it back on. It's like those moments for me what I try to create is this suspense. So, who are some of your favorite directors, if I might ask? Saeed?
Well, I like Scorsese
Oh, okay.
because he's a dark film, director, producer. A lot of his movies are like dark movies. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
gotta really follow the movie to understand where he's coming from. And
Right.
I'm a big John Singleton fan just because
Oh,
of what he.
yes.
That's
Yes.
because of what he brings to the table, far
Boys
as
in the Hood.
like just exposing, you know, these black actors in these black communities where at one time people wasn't even doing that. And
What they-
and I hate to say this, I'm a Spike fan, but I'm not a Spike fan.
Okay.
You know, because but I love everything Spike do. I love it, but I'm just not a real big fan of Spike. But I love everything he do because I'm kind of jealous of him.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
it.
that Ku Klux Klan movie, that Black Klansman, that's a good movie now. That's a good movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I said, they like my favorite three. But like I said, really like Scorsese because his movies are so dark, and he really gives his actors an opportunity to really show their talent and their skills.
Mike?
Well, I have 3 major ones, and believe it or not, Spike is my
Okay.
favorite, man.
All right.
And I'm gonna tell you why Spike Lee is my favorite. A lot of people have this misconception that you can't wear a lot of
Mhm.
hats on a production, and that you can't get it done by yourself or whatever. That you need a crew, a whole big crew or whatever. But this was the first man that created films that won Oscars and major awards with only him and maybe 1 or 2 people next to him, or if nobody
Mhm.
next to him at all. And I still think that blueprint can exist in anybody's life, that's beginning or doing whatever or getting to that name. And Spike Man just knew how to take verite footage and turn it into a feature film
Right.
that was he knew how to transform verite to narrative.
Right.
And that's important. When you know how to work the different forms of film and make them intertwine with each other and take the concept of Dutch angles versus close shots and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
And then yeah, the POVs and turn them into a whole feature film. That's chemistry.
Right.
That's somebody taking the chemical compounds of film, all the different variables in film, and creating a masterpiece. So that's hard. And the fact that he's an African American that came out of Morehouse, Atlanta, Georgia, before Atlanta, Georgia really even knew that they was going to become one of the film meccas, that's important. You know what I'm saying? New York and Atlanta. You put that little chemistry together of up north and down south, what do you got? You got Spike Lee. So, and Robert De Niro is one of my other ones, man.
Oh, yeah,
The reason why, because he's a beast as an actor, so he knows what to do as a director.
Right. Yeah.
And when he did the movie The Good Shepherd,
yeah, good
I don't
movie.
even want to do, because there's people that I think to this day haven't seen the Good Shepherd, so I'm not even going to ruin it. And just go. All I say is go watch The Good Shepherd by Robert De Niro. And then my third is George Lucas, because I loved how he took outer space and turned it into everyday life and turned it into a microcosm of a community that looked like we was dealing with Earth, but in all actuality, we was dealing with galactic wars above and beyond and different tribes and of aliens. And his whole imagination concept was huge. And it's like, if you go big, go big.
Go big.
Yeah, he went big with his characters. You know what I'm saying?
Michelle?
Okay, so now that you guys have told us who your favorite director, so who is your mentor? Or who do you feel like was a mentor to you as you were taking on this journey? Because I know that there are some that you're probably mentoring right now.
Well, I said it earlier. My mentor was Reggie Nurse, and like I said, Reggie Nurse, like I said there, he was this freshman, sophomore in college. He lived across the street from me. I think he was a junior or something, and he really, taught me, the ropes of becoming a filmmaker. Like I said, we would go to A&T. We would sit in the, we would sit in the damn film room all day, Final Cut, and we would just sit there all night. We would just go out and film. He would just show me all these things of what it took to be a filmmaker, and it was crazy because, like I said, I'm running around. I'm 35 years old, running around with a 20-year-old college kid. But the thing about it is, every time I went on campus with him, everybody was looking up to him like he was the best thing that ever did film, because that's how serious he was about it. And so, like I say, and like I tell people, I'm not too ashamed to say that Reggie Nurse is my mentor, and I just spoke to him yesterday. Damn it, he's from Winston, shoot, and he was my mentor for becoming a screenwriter. I just talked to him yesterday, and but I'm sorry I forgot his name, but he gave us a workshop on how to write a proper screenplay. And we sat in this workshop for like 10 hours with him. And he said, this is how you write a screenplay the professional way. And he took us through the whole scenario of how you do these things. And right now, even today, we talking everything. He always be up on us and y'all doing what y'all supposed to do as screenwriters. He said, just don't put stuff on paper. Whatever you put on paper, make it count. And I always keep that in the back of my head. But I'm going to give you his name before we leave here because I don't want to shortchange him.
Mike?
Mr. Hinton, you're muted right now. Sounds like you're saying something important.
We can't hear you.
You have to start over, sir.
Sorry, I was talking about white film and black film, and them merging. When Denzel Washington didn't win an Academy for John Q, but then won an Academy for Training Day, which John Q to me was so much a better portrayal of his character. It's so many dimensions. You know what I'm talking about as an actor, Mike. And I try to teach this to my students. You can't have the same voice the whole time you're on stage. You know, you got to show some different dimensions of yourself. You can be mad and not be shouting. You know what I'm saying? So the way the film industry goes back to Hattie McDaniel, the first African American to win Academy Award for supporting actor in Gone with the Wind, and couldn't even go down to accept her award because she was black. I mean, don't get me wound up because I teach this stuff. So y'all talk to me about some of the problems you find in being a black filmmaker in this society.
Being black. Well, Mike, I'm gonna let you pick up on me. You know, and I ain't gonna take that long. Listen, I'm glad Denzel won the film for best whatever for Training Day, and all the other films he did a great job. But I want to ask y'all this, and I told a friend of mine, I said, have you ever seen a person transform from all these actors that we've seen them in Soldier Story and Glory, John Q? Have you ever seen an actor go from there to where he went in Training Day? It was we've seen a whole new different side of Denzel that we never thought we would see. Because we never portrayed him, we never looked at him, in Glory and in the Soldier Story, he was rugged, the angry black man. But in Training Day, we seen this cat go from here to there, and we like, whoa, that nigga hood. And he real hood. You feel what I'm saying?
He played Malcolm X now. Come on, he played Malcolm X.
He should have won an Oscar or whatever before that, they might be right. But you can't name nobody other than him that could have took that character where he took him.
I guess the question is for you, Mike.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy because the range is one thing that we respect in this industry. And I'm sorry, hold on, let me connect my charger.
Okay.
Range is something that we in the industry that we respect. Meaning, what's your range? Who can you be? Can you be this person? Can you be this person? Can you be this person? And at some point, we may have never experienced being a detective in our life, but we was around a detective, or we knew a detective in our life, and we knew what their personality was. And the goal is to always to keep that photographic memory and remember who that person was and remember their personality. So range is important. And to go back and start from when the question you asked me about mentors in this industry, I have 3 huge mentors. One that I was under for a little while, that was in the industry for a while, that I went to some of his acting classes out in LA. I went out to venture out in LA, invested in myself with Richard Lawson. And Richard Lawson is huge in the game. And when I watched him, I watch not just an actor, but I watch directors. When I'm watching a great actor, I know that's a great director, because if they're a beast, they're going to know how to train you and teach you. So what I do is couple myself with the people that are great in all areas, that wear the hats and they're still great. It's funny you mentioned John Q, my other main mentor, my brother, he's like a father to me, a brother and everything, Oba Babatunde, and he's been in the game for a while. And this brother has poured into me so much. And see, that's the people you should surround yourself with, the ones that want to pour into you, and they see something special about you, and they say, look, I'm just going to pour into you. And my other mentor, who came from theater and killed the movie with one role, Hawthorne James, Red from 5 Heartbeats.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's my other mentor. And these guys, these black men teach me how to use my personality and the fact that I'm not going to be a pushover to go into an industry where they will push you over if you're a black filmmaker or a black actor. And there are disparities for black filmmakers and black actors. And you get an Academy Award for the monkey role versus the dang on, intelligent role of a brother that led the nation through the Nation of Islam or whatever, all the other movies. And, my mentor was in the same movie with Denzel, and they fed off each other and they killed it. Mm-hmm. Oba was the officer trying to get John Q to stop from
Exactly.
doing what he was trying to do. And so to me, those two black actors created a whole narrative to a story that was real, because every African American man that loves his child is not going to sit there and let his child go through that. Something as significant as a transplant for a major organ. Come on now. And them boys told that story right there in front of you with their two characters, the detective and John Q. So I guarantee you, they made the job easier for the white director. You see what I'm saying? Or
Mhm.
any other white director that they were under. But the disparity is, well, you know what? Even to this very day, regardless of what the Constitution has been amended, we're still going to recognize you as 3/5 of a human being. And so your
Mhm.
role is only going to count as 3/5 of a human being unless you entertain us with what it is that is so exciting, and that's that street nigga. Excuse my
Right.
language. But you
Well,
know what
hold
I'm
on, hold
saying?
on, hold
You
on,
know,
hold on now. I can hold on now. See, this is the thing though, and I don't know if you were talking about Denzel or just the street nigga period, but I'm talking about far as acting. And
oh
we
yeah.
looking at this.
No, he wasn't talking about acting then.
No, I was
He
talking
was
about
No,
I was
talking
talking about the role
about
being glorified, the role being
right.
no,
glorified,
but you know,
because he's acting in all the other movies. He
right?
is
Right.
the bomb and the beast in all the other
Oh
movies, far more than being who he was in Training Day. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, at some point that comes out of all of us. We can all be
yeah.
Right.
street.
Well,
You know
I'm
what I'm
not
saying?
saying. No, I'm
But
not
we
Yeah.
saying
all
you're
can't be
wrong.
Malcolm X. We all
But
can't
what I'm
be
Right. That's right.
John Q. We all
I'm,
can't be these people.
He
I'm
was
not
just a
saying.
mob boss. He was just a mob boss in Training Day. But let me just say this: Hawthorne. I met him at the National Black Theater Festival, and he was in this play called Homecoming. Oh
Amazing.
my God! He brought the
With his
house
daughter,
down.
right? With his daughter,
The
right?
one that he was trying to commit suicide.
With his daughter. His daughter walks in
Right,
on
with
him.
his daughter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Killed
He
it.
brought the house
Killed it.
down.
Was that
He
the
had
black?
people in tears because he was in tears, and he was like he couldn't live no more. He was gonna kill himself, and she talked him down out of that. And
And
I
we
was
don't, and that's acting. That's acting.
that's acting. Ooh,
Because
red.
because he made you go into the life of somebody about to commit
Yeah.
suicide. You know what I'm saying? So to me, when Denzel and all them other brothers that are out there and they giving you the narrative and they giving
Right.
it to you in their presentation, and
Right.
you don't appreciate it with some type of Academy Award above the other roles that are the common roles. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To
But
me, it takes
but
a
that,
lot to be somebody.
but you know what though, and I agree with you, but that still doesn't take away from their seriousness and what they give their audience
It
every.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
But
No,
to me,
And I
we
think
agreeing. We all
yeah,
agreeing,
yeah.
Saeed.
right.
But
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you.
the
I'm not
industry
arguing
doesn't
with
give
you.
that to us
No, I'm
on
not
every
arguing. What
role,
I'm
on every
saying is
level.
they,
Yeah.
but they get to the point where it's down. They say, you know what? We already know the deal. They already said we already know the deal. So we're gonna give our fans, the black fans, whoever, we're gonna give them what we get paid to give them. But at the end of the day, we already know the deal. You know, like Aretha Franklin said one time, how can you call me the queen of soul, but I don't never win nothing?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Listen, we Michelle, we got to talk about COVID before we go. We can't have a show and not talk about COVID. That's all around us. So
Well, listen, before we go to COVID, let me throw this out. My mentor as far as screenwriting is Nathan Ross Freeman. I had to get that out there.
okay,
Oh
now
yeah, Nathan, out of Virginia.
yeah, Nathan Ross Freeman.
Yeah.
Is it Richmond?
Not what he lives in. I don't know why he lives in Winston, but I've been
Yeah,
knowing him for years.
Yeah, I know who he
But
is.
he's pretty, yeah. But Nathan Ross Freeman's like my script writing, and you know
Real good
right.
brother. Real good
yeah,
brother.
real good brother.
Okay. All right, Michelle, let's talk about COVID just for a second and the state of the world.
So we all been affected by COVID. So my question to you, gentlemen, is what are you doing during the time of COVID to stay relevant? Are you writing? Are you having auditions? Are you, producing? Like, what are you doing to stay relevant?
I'm actually still writing. I'm producing. I'm I went and got this thing called what they call internet Safe Set International, which is a qualification that you take to get certified to be on sets during COVID. Um, COVID safe operations go to and only do productions that have COVID officers,
Hmm.
because if you don't your project, your production can be neglected by the industry if you don't have a record or a deliverable that says you have a COVID safe set officer and you have some
Right.
safe set international
Mhm.
certified people. So you can still work. You just got to know, okay, just like the same thing. What do I got to do to go into Walmart now? Well, I got to stay 6 feet away from people. I got to wear a mask. So what do I do now when I go on set? I have a COVID officer that sanitizes every 10 minutes or does this and blah blah blah. And my distance has, my distance between my cast has to be done this way. Do I screen them? I check and see if they got a fever every day before they come on set. Do I test some of them? Yeah, I could. They've gone even to the extent of quarantining people for 14 days and then bringing them on set right there in the city where they're shooting at now. So, still being involved with that, and adhering to anything dealing with COVID, respecting the game, not saying, well, just because I ain't caught it yet, because I'm O positive blood type or whatever, that I ain't gonna follow, the rules or the guidelines or whatever. So, by the end of the day, you can still work through it. And then when you are quarantining, when I did quarantine, shoot, I spit out 4 scripts, 2 comedies, 1 drama, and then the other one was a documentary style script that I want to do based on, what I'm saying, things dealing with mass incarceration. But, you know, like I said, I've traveled, I've gone here, I've done this. I've just made a great relationship with the brother Nate Parker, Birth of a Nation. We're going to be working on some things together. We talked to each other, and I was able to meet Spike Lee through something that got honored at Morehouse for that Project American Skin that they got coming out, where Amari Hardwick and we was all together chilling, relaxing at Morehouse with Spike Lee. And when I met him, I was just, oh my God, this brother is just amazing. But all of this, even through COVID, we all maintained the relationships and talked about the greater project. So to me, staying relevant is always becoming productive. And because you can be relevant no matter what type of piece put out. I could put out a sci-fi future piece, or I could put out a period piece that's from the 1800s and still be relevant as long as it's a film and I tell a story.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm actually getting ready to start filming my play, Prince of Hitsville, and we're going to be at the Little Black Box Theater in Greensboro. And where I got my schedule set up with theater, you only need the people there that you need there. So I got, I got it cut, like every scene about an hour, hour and a half. So I got it cut to where we're going to be filming the scenes and getting everything together. And I'm going to actually premiere that on Marvin Gaye's birthday, which is April.
Okay.
So I'm filming the play, and it's a short play. It's about 30, 35 minutes, called Prince of Hitsville. We got original music for it. And we're going to, I did send you the script, Kenneth.
All right.
Right. And we're going to start filming that in about a week or two. It's going to be like a day, 12, 13-hour shoot. I got everything set up, and it's going to be nice when we get it done.
You ain't sent me the script. I had to get you back, man. I had to get you back.
Hey, Mike, you could be Smokey Robinson. And the thing about
I've been told. I got the hair now, so.
And the thing about
but see, he got distribution, so you need to be sending him the script.
I have distribution too. I'm actually I'm a general manager for a network called CEP-TV, which is a black network that's growing, and we growing fast. And I got some other distribution and stuff, but right now, what I want to put out there, I want to get what I'm focusing on right now, because of this craziness we going through. I want to get my film done. We're coming to get our check, because this film is going to educate not just white people. It's going to educate black people, and we're going to tell them, you're not doing us a favor if you give us our reparation. It's due to us. It's owed to us because of the 400 plus years of the shit we going through and the free labor that y'all got from us for 300 years.
Right.
and there's so much
that they still get from us in the prison institution.
So this film is so deep, man, and we're dealing with so many. And the thing about it is, everything in this film you can go right on the internet and pull it up. But they don't. There's a lot of stuff they don't tell us about, and they don't want us to know about because of their guilt.
Yep.
Of course.
What do you think about the presidential race? You got some new president-elect.
Hopefully.
No, ain't no hopefully. We ain't going back to that. We're not going back to that.
Look, let me tell you something, man. With all that has happened in 2020, it's nothing that can surprise me anymore. It's nothing I wouldn't put past any bureaucracy right now.
I know.
Bureaucracies right now are so unquestionable to the point to where I think Trump is capable of throwing a coup de grace and saying, I ain't coming out of this White House.
Oh my goodness!
Let's picture that drama. Let's write that script. And see how that movie turns out. You see what I'm saying?
It won't be a long script.
Yeah, it won't be no long script.
Of course, it'll start during the presidency, and then it'll be a long election movie. Because the damn election was just as long as a movie.
Right, it sure was.
This is the thing about the whole president. This is the thing about the whole president stuff. And I'm pro-black. I'm a black nationalist, so I look at stuff like this, and I agree with Q, but it's just his timing was wrong. I don't believe in diversity. I don't believe in inclusion. All I believe in Black America only. If you're not going to sit here and say this is for black people only, I don't give a shit about nothing else, because diversity and inclusion is the worst thing ever happened to black people, because I look at it like this. When you say diversity and inclusion, all you saying is we doing something for you people of color. Black Americans ain't part of that people of color community, because we was here before anybody. So when you're talking about
Native Americans,
you understand what I'm saying? So
Native Americans was here before us.
Well, I put it to you like this. If you know your history, black people were here before anybody. But we won't go that far back. But what I'm saying is this. Black Americans is separate from, we should be looked at like white people looked at. We're not part of no community, because nobody wants to associate themselves with us until they need us. Name one community other than the black community where everybody got a business and a store and overflow our community. So once we get rid of that and get rid of diversity and inclusion, we have enough black people and we're smart enough to be self-sufficient.
Well, Brother Saeed, you got a little book there coming, don't you? You go ahead and write that book.
No, man, listen. They're gonna have me downtown because I'm telling.
Well, listen, we about wrapping this up. Anybody got any last comments?
Yeah, I wanted to also speak of another mentor who passed away. You know, peace and blessings upon his soul. But Baba Chuck Davis was one of my mentors.
Oh yeah.
Too. While I was still on the inside, I was the only inmate in the state of North Carolina that was coming out doing performances, and I was doing that with Baba Chuck Davis. And I was the griot, so to speak. I was the poet laureate that was doing the griot. So we did a major production. I'll never forget. That was called Bluegrass Brown Earth, and it was presenting the accounting to the world through bluegrass music. Now, the accounting is the original instrument from which the banjo derived.
Right.
It was the precursor to the banjo, and it was a piece of gourd fruit that had 3 different strings, and each string was supposed to be a note from heaven. And so we fused African dance with bluegrass music, and Shady Grove and the Carolina Chocolate Drops, which the talented Rihanna Gideons came from, and she's now a Grammy Award-winning bluegrass artist. But we did that whole presentation together, and I'll never forget the mentorship that I received from Baba when I was coming out on passes from prison to go to the rehearsals. And the mentorship that he told me was, he said, look, he said, again, I told you, I used to like to imitate people, but he was like, Michael, if you ever make it to the big league, Michael, I'll tell you one thing. You are going to be phenomenal. I go, I may. You know what I'm saying? So when he brought it and he poured into me, again, I've always been surrounded by people that poured into me, into my creativity. The key thing that he said was that they can enslave you, but they can't take your imagination from you.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I encourage anybody that's in this industry to live through your imagination and your intellectual property and let it manifest, whether it be on paper, on a stage, or in front of a camera.
Yeah, and that's really so true. And I just want to give a shout out to Sam Art Williams, who's one of my mentors as far as writing scripts.
Wow.
He worked on staff at North Carolina Central, and so did Bubba Chuck. And Bubba Chuck and I both were really close friends. So I'm ready to wrap this up. Michelle, you got any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for being a part of Theater Talk. It has truly been amazing, and
Yes.
to get to know both of you on a whole nother level. Continue to grind, continue to do what you do best, because even though both of you are on two different lanes, but you're successful in those lanes.
Right.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work, guys. This is Theater Talk Live for Sunday, and we'll be playing this on a replay next week. So stay tuned to new Theater Talk Live's Agape Theater Project. Good night.
Get the black mind right.